Today we have a very interesting topic. It's titled Quiet Confidence. And what makes it interesting is because it actually reminds me of a time when I was in JSS2, which is grade 8 if you want to internationalize the trauma I went through during that period. We had this one guy in class at that time. We lovingly labeled him Oversabi. Now, for context, Oversabi is a Nigerian slang for that person who doesn't just know the answer, but he wants you to know that he knows the answer. Hello and welcome to Navigating with Key. My name is Kenneth Eniojo Asenime, K-E-A-K, and I am your host on this program. I want to say thank you. I can't stop saying thank you. I want to say thank you to all and to everyone who has been interacting with our content. You've been sending your messages and even those replying to our emails. I want to say thank you to all of you and thank you for spreading the word. Our community is growing and we are making impact one person at a time. Today we have a very interesting topic. It's titled Quiet Confidence. And what makes it interesting is because it actually reminds me of a time when I was in JSS2, which is grade 8 if you want to internationalize the trauma I went through during that period. We had this one guy in class at that time. We lovingly labeled him Oversabi. Now, for context, Oversabi is a Nigerian slang for that person who doesn't just know the answer, but he wants you to know that he knows the answer. That's Oversabi. So that's who this guy was. He was the human Google before Google itself became affordable. So just to give you context of who this guy was. But anyway, we also had this intro tech teacher. Intro tech, it's one of the subjects you take in JS2, which is year 8, like we said. And that guy, I pray that history remembers him kindly. That man could flog. Not small correctional flogging, but full motivational package flogging. He will flog you and reset your whole brain. So I used to think back in those days that the Ministry of Education would assign one teacher that could actually flog to each school so that they can have some sanity. In fact, that was my thoughts. Anyways, one day, this honorable teacher told us very casually that next class there will be a test. And boy, you have never seen a group of children pray like we prayed that week. We prayed and prayed and prayed. Did we study? Yes, but we also prayed. In fact, we fasted unintentionally. We negotiated with God, and this is something. We negotiated that if this test does not happen, we will become better students. But you know how those negotiations go. The moment you get what you want, you forget your promises. Anyways, so next class came, and the man entered. He opened his notebook and started teaching. No mention of test. 5 minutes passed, 10 minutes passed, and then hope started rising like early morning agigi bread. Well, quiet. We all stood together in cooperation. We were like angels in uniform, just hoping that this test will not happen. And when it was almost getting to the end of the class, excitement started brewing in our spirits. But then a hand went up. That slow motion kind of hand that you see in movies? That is exactly how it happened. And then it was him, our Oversabi, and his voice just broke the silence in the class. Sir! And everybody looked at him. You said in the previous class that we're going to write a test. Are we still writing that test? Gosh. The kind of silence that happened that day, that type that makes you question your friendships, question your existence. So the teacher paused. The teacher looked at him, looked at us, looked at him again, and then smiled. We almost fainted with fear. So the real issue we had with that test is not because we're not ready to write. But you see, this man, if you fail his test, he would flog you to the tune of how much you failed. And nobody wanted to be flogged, right? And not like his tests were easy. So that day, the kind of threats Ovasabi received during break time could power a small generator. We told him he had by himself shortened his own lifespan. Children at that time. Even someone suggested locking him up in a cupboard, but that would have been going too far. But here's the funny part. At that stage of our lives, that was our definition of confidence. Raising your hand when everyone else was praying for silence and invisibility. Speaking up when silence was safer. Walking boldly into danger with academic enthusiasm. Back then, the most confident were those who spoke the most in class, who could woo a girl in a party, have the ability to talk others down. We used to call it wording, if you know what that means. But as we mature, confidence begins to wear a new look. So today's article is titled Quiet Confidence. Don't allow the title misguide you. So let's get into it. Confidence doesn't always announce itself. It doesn't need volume. It doesn't need performance or constant visibility. Quiet confidence moves differently. It is steady, grounded, and self-assured without needing to prove anything. Early in life, confidence often looks like certainty, speaking quickly, acting boldly, and asserting control. But over time, confidence deepens. It becomes less about being seen and more about being anchored. Quiet confidence comes from knowing yourself, from understanding your limits, knowing your values, and having a clear direction. It allows you to listen more, to act without rushing, and to stay calm when things feel uncertain. This kind of confidence doesn't compete, it doesn't compare, it doesn't chase validation, it trusts its own pace. People with quiet confidence don't need to dominate conversations or justify their choices. Their presence is felt not through noise, but through consistency and integrity. Quiet confidence is not passive, it is strength under control. It grows through experience, right? It grows through reflection and it grows through self trust. It allows you to stand firm without becoming rigid and to remain humble without shrinking. Now, listen to this. You don't need to be loud to be certain. That is our article for today. Quiet confidence. You see, life is beautiful. As we grow, as we move on in life, we get into different levels, and what is confidence for us begins to shift. So, if you are stuck to that point in life where you think confidence is talking people down, confidence is shouting, confidence is making other people feel sad, right? Being the loudest in the room. I think the train has moved from there. Get into what confidence is right now. Confidence right now is you being anchored, understanding who you are, knowing your values, knowing your boundaries, and sticking to it. Wow, I really enjoyed this. I really love it. And I hope you were able to learn something from it today. And if you did, tell someone about it. Let somebody know that wisdom is being shared on this platform, right? All right, thank you so much. I love that you're here with us today. And let's keep navigating life. Let's monitor our progress. Let's be very intentional with the way we do things. So, thank you again. This is Kenneth Eniojo Asenime, KEA, your host on Navigating with Key. And I say, till I come your way next time, have a lovely week. Goodbye.